He comes from a lineage of great sages, yogis, and saints from India. He began his spiritual journey at the age of 7 and was fully realized by the age of 14. During this time, he delved into different practices and acquired mastery over Tantra, mantra, yantra, aghori practices, and yaksha sadhana. He was a siddha, and many masters, saints, and sages used to visit him in solitude to gain wisdom and guidance from him since that tender age. Although he has been helping humanity since childhood, he never disclosed this part of him to the world, and only the advanced yogis and masters were aware of his divine presence. Only in the last 2 years he chose few people from the world and started guiding them in their spiritual paths, and those who have been closely associated with him have witnessed many miracles in his presence. Despite being a family person, he is a yogi and intends to help people entangled in this world achieve Jivan Mukti, liberation, while being alive. He is truly in the world but not of the world, and if you really want to understand him, look him beyond his physical appearance and just sit with him, and you will never be the same again. In his presence you will transcend your body and mind and experience the state of Sat, absolute truth, Chit, pure consciousness, Ananda, eternal bliss. Let us fold our hands in front of his divinity and with a heart filled with gratitude and love welcome our spiritual guru, the realized soul, and our enlightened master, Guru Meenakshi Mishra.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णावपूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अहं ब्रह्मास्मि. So good morning everyone, and good evening to people from the other part of the world as well. So here we are with the, which part is this? 7th? Okay. So the 7th part of Tahar Vidya. And I'd like to start this with a story, because the last Q&A session was a good reminder for all of us as to what it was and what or where we were, and the time gap that was there between these sessions, that was covered well. So thank you all for your questions that actually brought it together. And now I'd like to begin this session as a reminder with a story, so that when you listen to the story, like everything that you might remember, you might have forgotten, they all will culminate to make you realize, not in full at least, but at least hinting all that you have already learned in the past 6 sessions of the Vidya. So shall we begin with a story? So as every story goes, there was a king. And now listen to this story with intention as to what all you have learnt, what all you have heard, what all you have gone through during all these past 6 sessions of Tahar Vidya. So, as usual, long, long ago, there was a king who possessed everything a human can ever desire. His treasury was overflowing with gold. His armies were stretching beyond the horizon. Scholars filled his court. Musicians sang his praise. Yet, every single night, when silence descended upon him, and when silence descended upon the palace, an emptiness crept into his heart. One evening, while walking through the palace gardens, it was evening time and he was just scrolling through. And while he was just walking through the palace gardens, he noticed an old gardener who was humming joyfully while watering a few flowers. The king was puzzled, just like you might have been, that I know this story. But let me continue with this. The king was puzzled. How can this man be happier than me? He wondered. The next morning, he called the gardener and asked, "Tell me honestly, what do you possess that I do not?" The gardener simply smiled and replied, "Nothing, Maharaj." And when he said nothing, the king actually frowned. तो आप कभी कभी ऐसे आंख उठा के देखते हो ना. And he said, "Then why do I feel incomplete while you seem fulfilled?" The old man, the old gardener, bowed before the king and said, "Because you are trying to possess the world, while I am learning to know the one who wants to possess it." And these words struck the king as lightning. Now, here the story changes, because the story that you have heard up until now was something else. It could be the 99 Club, it could be finding the self happiness. But in Tahar Vidya, as we say, the same thing changes and a new realization appears. So, what did the gardener said? He said, "When you are busy trying to acquire the world, I am learning to know the one who wants to acquire it." And these words struck the king like lightning. And for days after that, he could not sleep. He had conquered kingdoms, but had never conquered that restlessness that was there within himself. He had studied scriptures, but had never studied the one who was reading them. Just like many of us, we might have seen, we might have read, we might have known, we have traveled far, we have seen life, we have seen the ups and downs, the pains and pleasures of life, and yet, just like the king, we experience all that, but we don't experience the experiencer itself. And just like that, the king has studied scriptures, but had never studied the one who was reading them. He had spent his entire life polishing the mirror, but had never looked at the face reflected in it. And thus began his journey, might be a new one towards the old one. Then he started visiting the scholars again. One scholar told him that liberation is in knowledge. When you have the knowledge, liberation is possible. Another told him that you should do the rituals and then only you will get whatever you are asking for. A third person came and it says it's with the renunciation. If you leave everything, have you met all these three people? So some would come, they would say knowledge, some would say you leave everything, and then somebody would come and say, you have to be sitting and just doing your processes and processes and processes. And many must be thinking and smiling and say, yeah, all three in you only might be. Because at times you say this, you say that. But all these things were going on and on and on. But the more and more he was going through all these things, years have passed now. His collection of his knowledge was growing larger. But the inner confusion also grew with it. Then one fine day, he met an old sage who was just sitting by the side of a river. And just by sitting by his side, the king thought, like, I can pour out whatever there is within myself. And he poured out all his doubts. And the king said to the old sage, I have learned so much, he said, yet peace escapes me. What am I missing? And then the sage just pointed out towards the river. And he said, tell me. The sage asked, what do you see? The king replied, a river. The sage smiled and says, what else? He said, the water is flowing. The sage asked, what else? The king became impatient. That is all I can see. The sage picked up a small cup and dipped it into the water and into the river. And then he says, now, what do you see? And the king said, a cup full of water. The sage nodded. And he said, the river remained the river. Only the container changed. Then he looked directly into the eyes of the king and said, your body is the container. Your mind is a container. Your beliefs are a container. Your identities are a container. But the awareness flowing through them is all the same. And then, just by listening to this for the first time, he realized that, okay, just like the river is flowing, and if I take it in a cup, in a jar, in a mug, in a tank, they will all be filled in different containers, but that consciousness is constantly flowing as is. And this made the king silent, and he sat down quietly. Thereafter, the old sage continued. He said, when you were a child, your body was different. Yet you say, I was that child. When you became a young man, your thoughts changed. Yet you said, I was that young man. Today, you are old. The body has changed. The mind has changed. The world has changed. But something has remained unchanged throughout all these changes. Have you ever looked for that which has never changed? And for the first time in his life, the king stopped seeking answers and began to observe. He watched his thoughts arise and disappear. He watched his emotions come and go. He watched his success arrive and leave. He watched praise become criticism and criticism becoming praise. Everything moved, everything changed, everything flowed, yet something remained. What remained was a silent witness, a presence, a awareness. And years later, the king once again returned to the same river. The sage asked him, "What have you discovered?" The king smiled and said, "I discovered that my suffering came from mistaking the waves for the ocean." The sage nodded and said, "Can you explain me?" And the king said, "When anger came, I became anger. When fear came, I became fear. When success came, I became success. When failure came, I became failure. I spent my life identifying with every wave that appeared. But now I see that the waves comes and goes. The ocean remains." And to this, the sage laughed and he said, "Now you understand Tahar Vidya." And the king was puzzled and he said, "Is that all?" The sage simply replied with a smile, "That is everything." Because Tahar Vidya is not the accumulation of knowledge, it is the removal of confusion. It is not learning who you are, it is seeing clearly who you are not. You are not merely your possessions. If you lose your job, you will still exist. You are not merely your relationships. When people enter or leave your life, something remains. You are not your thoughts. Thousands of those thoughts appear and disappear since childhood. Rather, I can say millions and millions. You are not your emotions because they also came and passed by. Every feeling has come and gone. You are not even the story you tell to yourself because the story changes, but the witness of the story never change. This morning, you woke up and you told a story to yourself. This is going to be a great day. Next day, you wake up and you say, this day seemed to be troublesome. Third day, you say, oh, so this is an amazing day. I have a celebration to do. And then some other day, there is nothing new. Can you see? All these stories, all these dramas, they have continued as is. And you have been just accepting them even without realization. Because you always saw the stories. You always forget that you are telling the story to yourself as well. Now, let me ask you one thing. Whatever I am saying, are you able to listen? Whatever I am saying, are you listening it the same way? The answer is a big no. It's a big, big no. What I am saying is, I am saying what you are listening is the interpretation of the story that you are doing. What are you interpreting? Whatever you are understanding is not my words. It's you who is telling it within you. If that is the case, have you heard anyone in this world ever? How many times people say, ये मेरा बात ही नहीं सुनता? They don't listen to me. No one has ever listened to you. That a blasphemy that you think like somebody will ever listen to you. No one ever listens to you. The only time you feel like somebody listened to you is when they were also thinking the same way the story that you were telling. Or else, every time, think your thoughts. Who is narrating all these stories to you now? I am saying long, long ago. Then somebody would say, oh, so this is this might be a story I might know. Somebody say, oh, new story. Isn't it? Just like, you remember, I keep on giving you the example. If I say, okay, think of Shiva. Now all your Shivas are different. Isn't it? The way you look at him, the way I look at him, I cannot say that it is the same one. Because everybody is Shiva. कुछ के शिव बैठे हुए हैं, कुछ नंदी के ऊपर है, कुछ चल रहे हैं, कुछ पत्थर जैसे दिख रहे हैं. कोई ऊपर बैठा है, कोई नीचे बैठा है, कोई उसके साथ बैठा है, कोई उससे दूर बैठा है कि नहीं? So you are keeping on looking at the images of Shiva from a different perspective because all that you have ever lived is a story. And you thought the world is telling you that. No. It is you who is telling the story. Who is listening? It is you who is listening. Who is reacting to that? You. Who is living that life? You. So tell me, who is there apart from you? And when I keep on saying the teller, the listener, the experiencer, and the one that is living it is all one. Does it make sense now? Because whatever you see, you interpret that within you. Yes or no? Whatever is being said, who is interpreting that? Whether you heard it, whether you saw it, whether you felt it, whether you tasted it, whether you smelt it. आपके पंच इंद्रियों को ले लो, आपके पंच ज्ञान इंद्रियों को ले लो. Whatever way you have been doing it, there is only one interpreter within you. So if there is only one who is doing all the things, and even without telling you, it is experiencing it and never looks at itself. So उसने कहेगा, and then he says, उसने मुझे ऐसा कहा. Hello. He told me like that. She did this to me. The world did that to me. सोचो फिर से एक बार. Remember, the river is flowing. You chose a container. You chose a wave and said, oh, so this is. Now tell me, if you have been running the entire story at your own self, who made you happy? Who made you cry? Who made you intelligent and who is actually making you realize what Tahar Vidya is? Not me. I'm just like that river flowing through, a river of what? Like a river of words might be. And when that river of words is passing by, What are you connecting with? What are you related to? What vessel have you chosen? Is it making sense now? Are you sure this is making sense? Do you agree that this is what you are telling a story to yourself? Do you agree to that? Because the moment you agree to that, then tell me who can make you angry? Who can make you sad? Who can bind you? Who can free you? अब बताओ. You know what? What Tahar Vidya does? It dissipates, it takes away all that thing that you have been thinking that somebody else did that to you. So who can make you happy now? Now, if you are smiling, you know who does that. Then whose responsibility is now from here on? It's not mine. It's no one else in this world. It's you. Makes sense? ये responsibility बढ़ गई. Now what will happen, any time while I was answering this question last time, I said, when anger comes, just stop and watch. And there might be a question, how should I stop and watch? Now I'm giving you the pathway. Whenever anger is coming, stop for a moment and say, what story am I telling to myself? Then what will happen? Is it really what they are saying, or it is what is going on within me? Best thing, you know what it is? You can change the story. You can choose, you can change. Can you? Sitting here, you can choose to be angry. Sitting here, you can choose to be irritated. But while sitting here, you have chosen to smile. It's not my story, it's your story. The same consciousness appearing in different ways, different vessels. Is it making something clear for you? Think of. So the entirety of the thing that you have lived in your entire life, who is responsible for that? Not a bad thing to know, but how are you going to live ahead is the question. You didn't knew that up until now, I understand. How are you going to live after this? Will you blame it to your age? Will you blame it to another person? Would you blame this to this world? Would you blame God? So if there is no one to be blamed, is there anyone to be praised? Then the answer is again no. Because all that word you liked and you were smiling and you say, wow, it is all yours, not mine. सबका सब तुम्हारा ही है. So what will you do from here on then? This is what people will not ever let you know. Because if I say, you choose your freedom, you choose your happiness, you choose your sorrow, you choose your emotions, you choose your life, you choose your karma. Good question there. How can we not attribute the reason of our happiness, right? Because I am telling you all this. Answer is again very simple. The river is flowing. You took a bowl and took that shape of it. The consciousness is consciousness. The consciousness is not right, not wrong. The consciousness not is wisdom, not ignorance. The consciousness is just the flow of water. It's flowing. But the best thing is you are choosing the best of it. Ultimately, what will happen, you know? Ultimately, you will realize that the day I kept the container out and I plunged into the river, I became the river. That's the Vidya. You have heard that Shiva and Shakti had a dialogue between them, and it happened some time ago. And when they were talking, there was no one. But again, if you go to the Amarnath Gufa, then you say there were two pigeons who heard this, so they became Amar. So they keep on coming still, and they are still coming every year. क्योंकि उनको अमरत्व प्राप्त हो गया because they heard it. And apart from that, there was no one else. How did they become Amar? How did they become immortal? That when Shiva was telling a story, it seems Parvati fell asleep. अब सोचो, is it just a story? Or there is a deeper meaning behind that, which no one of us even understands. And if I decipher that, it's like an awakening for you all. Do you want to know it? So imagine the situation. Parvati asks, what is that ultimate? Shiva says, I'm going to tell you, but if anybody else hears that, they will become immortals. Then they looked around, there was no one. And then Shiva started telling the truth. And it is said when Shiva started telling the truth, Shiva said, how will I know that you are listening? Because I will go into my samadhi and speak. How would I know that you are listening? And then Parvati said, okay, I'll just say, hmm, hmm, so that you know I'm listening. And when Shiva started speaking, Parvati was listening for some time. And somehow, during that time, there were two pigeons. Without their knowing, they were also sitting and they were also saying, hmm, 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 hmm. And while Parvati was listening to all that, Parvati fell asleep. And when Parvati fell asleep, the pigeons continued to say, hmm, 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 hmm. And Shiva narrated the entire thing. And they became immortal. But the story here is not that. That Shiva and Parvati are not sitting far away some aeons ago. It is happening with you right now. Now imagine this. You have chosen a cave where no one else can enter. Can anyone read your thoughts? Can anyone say what is happening within you? No, right? That means this is the cave that you have created, right? In that cave, there are two beings. One who is telling the story, the other is listening. And the listener falls asleep. When the truth was being told, the listener fell asleep. Fell asleep means what? It deviated from truth and passed towards a dream, illusion, ignorance. And then there were two beings, those who are listening to that and says, hmm, hmm, hmm. And Shiva believes this Parvati is still listening because Shiva is in absolute trance, is in samadhi, and he's speaking. Is there a voice within you that speaks to you? And you only listen when there is silence. How many times Parvati ignored what Shiva said? It's not her fault. She fell asleep. Now, just can you imagine that Parvati falling asleep when Shiva is speaking? You don't have to imagine, it's you. The inner voice, when it starts speaking, many a times we ignore that. But you can, to your own self, you say that, yeah, anyways, I'm listening what you have said. Who was listening? Who fell asleep? Because in that cave, nobody else hears you. And it is said, whoever listens to that becomes immortal. Now tell me, what part of you is mortal and what part of you is immortal? And then you will realize the one who knows the truth is immortal. The one who has fallen asleep is the mortal. Are you understanding where Shiva and Parvati are having a conversation? Now, if everything is happening within you, are you choosing to be the cave? Are you choosing to be Shiva? Are you choosing to be Parvati? Are you choosing to be those two pigeons? Or you are choosing to be that sound, hmm? What are you choosing? Or you are choosing the entire story. And then you discard it and say, it's all me. क्या समझ आया? When you now go and hear to the story of Amarnath, it is not just a story to tell. People only know the part of the story. They don't know the depth of it. It's a constant reminder to us that जो वार्ता वहां पे हुई थी, it is still continuing. The cave still exists. और it would be great to say that जैसे साल में एक बार अमरनाथ गुफा में शिवलिंग प्रकट होता है, शायद आपके अंदर कभी कभी प्रकट हो जाता होगा. At times, that divinity appears within you and you just say, wow. And when the divinity appears within you, you feel all heated up within yourself, or you become calm and quiet and cold and silent. Now, if you go to Amarnath, how would you feel? What is the ice representation of? Calm, quiet, still, pristine. What do you experience? Can you see why so much of relevance is there? Why so much of connectivity is there, but people have never ever even dreamt or tried to see all those. Now you can ask me the question, why have they not tried? Answer is very simple. They never saw the river itself. The river is continuously flowing. They never got a chance to look at it, let alone knowing what was happening. They have just become the container. And then they say, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Moodhamate. That, oh ignorant being, start taking the name of the divine. When you start taking the name of the divine, at least you will be able to see the river. When you see the river, at least you will look at the consciousness flowing. Once you see the consciousness flowing, at least you will not choose a vessel. And while doing so, might be one fine day, you become the river. You become that consciousness that's constantly flowing. Do you hear Shiva now? That's what is Tahar Vidya. Don't you feel like this is one of the most amazing things that you will ever realize? So simple, so subtle, so near, so close, happening every moment within me, and I never realized. That's what it does to you. Every feeling has come and gone. You are not even the story that you tell to yourself. You are the one who is telling the story. Do you think this knowledge should be passed on to all the beings? Yes or yes? But will it reach them? No. Just like the consciousness is flowing, only the ones, those who are awake and aware and looking at it, will get the chance. Then somebody would come up and say, but why can't we help others? I said, you can try, but nobody listens to you anyways. You can try. But it is their calling, it's their awakening. And only the chosen will reach that space. And it is not something I'm telling again and again and again because I want to emphasize that or pinpoint that. No, it is the truth. You remember when Shiva opened his eyes for the first time, he came and sat. There were millions. He closed his eyes. He opened his eyes, there were thousands. Again, he closed his eyes. He opened his eyes again, there were hundreds. He closed his eyes. And then finally he saw only 7. And then he spoke. Because now he realized that this is the least that can happen. So, should you feel privileged? That's your story. I'm not telling it. But the best thing is, you are here. Be grateful, thankful for choosing this. Because when I can sell liberation, I'm just distributing it anyways. Because how can I sell liberation to you? I can sell something to you that you don't have. I'm not talking about jewelry and saris anyways. Despite you have, you can still buy it. I'm talking about something that is the highest, the precious, the most important in this entire life. That is what you already are. That is what you already have. How can I bring that to you? But yes, I can do this. You remember one fine day, One person was roaming around his entire room searching for his glasses, goggles. He searched here, there, everywhere, did not find it. Now, ultimately, somebody else came and says, that's on your head. You just put it right sometimes on your head and you forget. That's what exactly I'm doing. You are already there, the glass is already there. I'm just saying that the glass is on your head. Whatever you are searching is already with you. I can say that choosing this story is a great thing. At least in your life, you might have chosen so many stories. This story is another one, but some stories liberate, some stories bind you. And if you have chosen this story, it's a beautiful one. So are you still saying, hmm, hmm, or you have fallen asleep already? So now you know like how to deal with your anger, how to deal with your pain, how to deal with your sadness, how to deal with your happiness also, how to deal with your own self, how to deal with your God. Now anybody ever asks you, तुम्हें अमरनाथ की कथा पता है? Then you tell it. अमरनाथ की कथा है क्या? Because I want all of you to begin a pilgrimage. A pilgrimage, हाँ, कुछ लोग ऐसे भी आज निकल रहे शायद. A pilgrimage not outside, a pilgrimage within you. And every temple that you generally go, you find there are a lot of stairs to pass, right? Similarly, if you look at your backbone, it looks like a stair. आपका जो spine है ना, if you look at it carefully, it looks like a stair. And that's where I say, start climbing that internal climb and reach to the ultimate. It's not about chakras, it's not about just awakening. I simply say that whichever way, whatever story liberates you, I'm ready to tell that story to you. Because ultimately, when you realize all the words fall short and all the things look like a story. Have you met a storyteller yet? Or I can say, have you met the storyteller yet? It's not me, it's not anyone. You are the greatest storyteller ever. Now, if you are a storyteller, what story will you choose now? Because writers and the storytellers tell so many things. And you know the most powerful thing about a storyteller? It has the power to change. You remember that I went to Alivaji's office and I was talking about the tortoise and the rabbit story. You all know that, right? Tortoise and rabbit went for a race. Then the rabbit fell asleep and the tortoise slowly reached and he won. That's the story. What was the moral of the story? Slow and steady. I didn't told it, you told it. So who is telling you the story? Tell me. You thought that I was speaking. No. The story is already running within you. And you say, how? Because I heard this story. Okay. But what if I change the story now? Because I am the storyteller here. So I say, do you know, like after the tortoise won, the rabbit went to the tortoise and said, no, no, this time we would fight. We would run again. Let's go for another competition. Tortoise says, okay. And this time they both ran. When they both ran, this time the rabbit did not sleep. It reached the point, won. What would be the moral of the story? Now, previous to this, you said slow and steady wins the race. But this time the rabbit did not sleep. Who won the race? You thought the story ended here? No, I'm a storyteller. I can change it again. The tortoise goes back to the rabbit and says, it's okay, but how about I choose the path? The rabbit said, fine, it's okay. Let's go for a race. The tortoise chose a path where part of it was land and part of it was water. Now the rabbit ran fast. The tortoise walked slow. And when it reached to the river, the tortoise was easily passing through and the rabbit was waiting. Who won the race? Now, what is the moral of the story? It's not only slow and steady, the one who balances both the situations wins, right? But let me change the story again. This time the rabbit says, let's not do that. Let's walk together. On the land, you sit on me, I will run through faster. And when it comes to the water, I will sit on you, you cross me over. What's the moral of the story? Oh, combined efforts, team efforts. Which story is true among them? And that's what I said. It is in the hand of this is the power in the hand of the storyteller. It can make a villain hero and a hero a villain. Is it not? कुछ देर के लिए रैबिट हीरो बन गया, कुछ देर के लिए टॉर्टॉइस हीरो बन गया, और लास्ट में दोनों हीरो बन गए। बोला अरे कितना अच्छा है, दोनों एक दूसरे को हेल्प किए। हेलो, देयर इज नो टॉर्टॉइस, देयर इज नो रैबिट, देयर इज नो रेस, and you were lost in that story for the past 5 minutes. समझ में आया कुछ? This is how you have lost your entire life. सोच रहे हो कौन जीतेगा? नहीं नहीं, मोरल ऑफ द स्टोरी ये होना चाहिए, नहीं ऐसा होना चाहिए। There is no rabbit, there is no tortoise, there has never been such a race except in a story. Who wins in your story? क्या है आपकी कहानी? These are not things to be spoken, these are things to be realized. These are not things to be spoken out loud, these are the internal conversations that you should have. Because the greatest conversations always happened in silence. Whether it was a dialogue between Shiva and Parvati, or a great dialogue happening within you right now. Does this make sense? You can say it is utter nonsense. That would be your story. And whether you say that this is making sense, that's also your story. That's not mine. I have just chosen to tell a beautiful story for myself, and I create a beautiful life out of it. At least now you're free to choose your story. That's what you get. That's what at least that power you have within yourself. अब कभी रोए तो क्या करोगे? और अब कभी हंसे तो क्या करोगे? अब कभी डरे तो क्या करोगे? If you are in fear, anger, whatever emotions that you go through, what do? Just for a moment, look at the storyteller and say, what story are you telling to me today? Then Tahar Vidya begins again and he says, who is asking the storyteller? That what story are you telling to me today? Can you see? It's like a peeling off. One by one layer you peel off and something new appears, something new appears, something new appears. But are you, I keep on saying this in my college session, are you going through it or you are growing through it? You should grow through this. And you should not be worried how much you actually were able to grasp. All that you should know is how much I was able to know myself. It's not about how much I remembered, it's all about how much I became. And that's why you might have seen the same stories that you might have heard so many times. When I speak, it becomes a new story altogether. Because I bring a new perspective to that. Why do I bring that? So that you realize it for the first time. That this story can be seen from that aspect as well. This life can be seen from another aspect as well. The way I am can be seen from another aspect as well. Liberation can be seen from another aspect as well. And more than that, you will realize it is possible. So what you could say, mukti mumkin hai. Liberation is possible. And this is why I say Tahar Vidya is not about escaping life. I'm never telling you to escape. But in your stories, in all your things that you are going through, right? Your emotions, your daily life, what I'm trying to do, I'm not saying, वो सब छोड़ दो, छोड़ के भाग जाओ, no. I'm simply saying you one thing. I'm just saying, live it. Because it is all about living life fully while remaining absolutely rooted in which that never changes. You will still love, you will still work, you will still dream, you will still serve. You will still experience joy and sorrow. But you know what will happen? You will not drown in them. ये सब रहेंगे, तुम उसमें डूबोगे नहीं. And now, because you know they are just the waves, they are just the containers, and you have discovered the ocean for your own self. And that is why, if I culminate Tahar Vidya, it is absolutely astonishingly simple. Have I added anything new to that? Any new ingredient? Rather, you will find I have been telling the same thing in many different ways. Might be today you like the story. One fine day you could not understand that story. But can you see how the child is slowly growing into a space where it is able to understand it? And if you grasp this knowledge completely within yourself, it's going to be an amazing journey from here on. Because it is not complicated, as I said, it's very, very simple. Even not anything extraordinary that you will attain. But that extraordinariness becomes so simple to you that you start living it like a breath that you take every moment. You will not be drowned in that falsified statements of life. Rather, everything that is false will fall away. You remember, like just like the sculptor starts removing the excess marble that is not the stone, that is not the uh, idol. Like the clouds painting and trying to cover the sun with their painting of clouds. But the sun is sun, it is shining somewhere else. Just like the dust sprinkled on the mirror. If I wipe off that, the mirror still exists. If I remove the clouds, the sun still exists. If I remove the chipping, the idol exists. And what remains is what was always there, Sat, that which never changes. Chit, the pure awareness that knows every experience. Ananda, the natural fullness that arises when nothing is missing. Are you knowing the truth now? Are you becoming aware of your consciousness? And when it is happening to you, how do you feel within yourself? Is again the same age old question that I keep on asking. Sat, Chit, Anand. Satchidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Sameta Shri Bhagavate Namaha. What is it saying? सच्चिदानंद परब्रह्म. कौन परब्रह्म है? जो सच्चिदानंद है. What are you experiencing? Satchit Anand. When you are experiencing all the three at one go, what do you become? Satchidananda. Then what is the realization of Satchidananda? Parabrahma. Satchidananda Parabrahma. Purushottama Paramatma. And who is telling the story? Who is listening to that? Sri Bhagavati Sameta. Sri Bhagavate Namaha. So who is the Satchidananda here? Who is the Parabrahma? Who is the Paramatma? Then you say, there are two parts of me. And you say, okay, Sri Bhagavati Sameta means along with the Bhagavati. Sri Bhagavati Sameta, Sri Bhagavate Namah. And then you realize that all that story are actually put at the feet of that Brahman. Are you realizing it? So is it just a story that I'm telling to you? Or it is unwrapping? Just like the rose never tells a story. You look at the rose and you tell it is beautiful. The rose never shouted, I am. Similarly, whatever I am speaking is just like that. You look at a thorn, the thorn never says, I am going to prick you. But while looking at the thorn, you say, it might prick me. So whether it is a rose or a thorn, the storyteller is you. Whether it is liberation or bondage, the chooser is you. Is it making clear to all that I have been speaking through all these 6 sessions? Good. Because the moment you realize that that natural fullness, that completeness that is there already always within me and nothing is missing, then you realize again what? Purnamada Purnamidam Purnava Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Even though I have been segregated, even though I have been separated into pieces, yet I am complete always. Makes sense. So, can you see all the teachings that have been told over years and years? All simulate, all come close within that quotation, within that bracket, and says, it's all you. It was never indicating anybody else. It was already always indicating towards you. And perhaps the greatest realization is this. This, I believe, like is the greatest realization that you should have. You do not have to wait for another lifetime. You do not have to abandon your family, your responsibilities. You do not have to retreat to a cave at this very moment. While listening to these words, there is an awareness that is noticing it. Because my words will pass, the thoughts they create will pass. This moment will pass, but your awareness that is watching it, looking at it, interpreting it, experiencing it will continue to remain. And Tahar Vidya is simply the journey from being lost in the travel or in the passing to awakening to the one who never passed, who never traveled, who never went anywhere. And once you see that, life does not become less beautiful. It becomes infinitely more sacred. And this is what is all about Tahar Vidya. Because if I keep on peeling off the petals of it, it's a never ending petal. It creates one more, it creates one more, it creates one more. Because it is a creator. And there are infinite ways of understanding it. But in all those infinite ways, I just welcome you to grasp something of that. Yesterday, I saw a small little image. In that image, there is a small little kid and Hanuman is standing. Hanuman is holding by his ऐसे कॉलर से उठा के उसको पकड़ के रखे हवा में. He is holding it in the air. And there is a write up on above Hanuman's head. मैं तेरा क्या करूं? What should I do of you? And there is a writing above the child's head. मुझे गोद ले लो. Similarly, when your God asks, what should I do to you? Ah, take me with you. Adopt me. That's what it says. तू ऐसा है मैं तेरा क्या करूं? अडॉप्ट कर ले और क्या करेगा? And it was such a beautiful, simple say. And I said, wow, what a beautiful way of saying, looking at the things, huh? जब भगवान तुमसे खुद परेशान हो जाए, तेरा क्या करूं? बोले, अपना ले. Now, can I ask one question to the God? Let's say you are hanging now. and he is holding you और पूछ रहे तेरा मैं क्या करूं. What are you going to say? वही कहो ना, अपना ले. So my dear, I'm talking to you in the aspect that if you are the God and your body and the mind are the child, would you accept them the way they are, or you will discard? Because many times you also say the same thing, right? You go by your ways, you go by your looks, you go by your talks, you go by your things, and then you don't accept yourself. Because now you are saying, क्या करूं मैं इसका? What should I do of it? Now, what would you say? I think like वो कहते हैं ना, the last, धवल जी आप सुने होंगे ना, the last nail in the coffin. Now I was asking, so God, tell me, will you accept them the way they are? See, it's not my answer, it's your answer. Because I'm not that God, you are that God. And you should accept yourself completely. Like that small little kid who is hanging around. Might be the body, the mind. So do you accept? बिकॉज कुछ देर पहले बड़े खुश हो रहे थे ये सुन के कि अरे यार कितना अच्छा है, बच्चे ने कहा कि मुझे अडॉप्ट कर ले, गॉड शुड बी सो हैप्पी. एंड आई एम आस्किंग द सेम थिंग, डू यू एक्सेप्ट योर सेल्फ कंप्लीटली? Now the day you say yes, you are gone because you cannot complain anything to me anymore. अब समझ में आया अदिति जी, व्हाट इज मुक्ति? You are free from your problems, you are free from your complaints, and I am free from listening to them. Then what happens? All that remains is that absolute peace in you, in me. And all those who sit in that space are sitting in that silence. The silence, that peace, that absolute pristine state where you just sit and observe the observer now. Not worried about the frills. You're just sitting there. So now my question is, what have you chosen? Did you accept yourself? Now that would be your story again. Can you see how many stories it is telling right now? But then, but we would like to sit with you. हाँ बैठो ना, मैंने कब मना किया नहीं बैठने के लिए? When did I say I not sit with you? I simply said, sit with me absolutely in a new way. Knowing that it's you. Then you know what happens? That me and you, that difference will disappear. Just like if I have taken a Coke, which is black in color, and I keep it by the side of water, it will see like it will appear as two different things. But once all the ingredients have been taken away from that Coke, which is not water, and now I keep both of them together, will they still look different? They will still look different because of the two containers. But now if I merge them together at one place, will there be a difference? That's the same path we are doing actually. I look different than you because you are sitting like a Coke, I'm sitting like a water. And when we are trying to pull out whatever it is not there, except the water, Then what is appearing? Only thing that is remain is two vessels in which both the thing that you see is water. And one fine day, they both merge. No container, only water. The flow of that consciousness. Now close your eyes. Simply try to not recall, not remember. Just live this moment knowing that whatever has happened, whatever is happening, whatever is going to happen is not something in your control. But what story you will tell yourself is, because that story changes everything for us. That story changes everything for you. So just take some time to go into that. Let me play something for you then. Yeah. Just be there in that space. Go as deeper as you can. There is no need of any guidance. There is no need of any support. Just imagine yourself, or rather become that consciousness that is flowing, and you become that consciousness completely. Just go as deep as you can, without thoughts, without imagination. Who am I beyond this name? Who am I beyond this body, beyond this fame, beyond the stories the mind has spun? There shines the light of the Eternal One. The stars may fade, the worlds may fall, yet something watches through it all. Silent, boundless, pure, and free, whispering this deep inside of me. I am the flame of eternity. Not this fear, not this pain, not these chains, that bind the brain. Ocean and drop are one in me. Shiva's silence, Devi's grace. I behold my timeless face. I searched in temples. I searched in temples made of stone. I wandered deserts all alone till the Guru smiled and softly said, the truth you seek is where you are led, not in the sky, not far away, not in tomorrow, not someday. The sun of truth forever gleams, awakening us from countless dreams. Om, I am the rising thought. No, I am not. Om, I am that what time has taught. No, I am not. Om, I am the witness, ever bright. Yes, that is right. The endless, deathless, cosmic light. Tattvamasi, the sages cried. The veil of separation momentarily died. From dust to stars, from breath to sea, the one resides in all we see. No birth, no death can capture me. I am the sky, I am the air, the divine presence everywhere. The universe awakens in me. From Shiva's heart, the truth shall flow. I am that, and now I know. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Shivoham. Shivoham. And in this space, the one who was seeking disappears, and all that remains, and all that will ever remain, is the ultimate, the truth, the realization of the divine. I I wandered through lifetimes, chasing shadows in the sand, calling myself a beggar while holding heaven in my hand. I searched in mountains, I searched in sacred streams, never knowing the truth was hidden behind my own dreams. I wore 1,000 faces, 1,000 names and forms, yet through every birth and death, one presence stays unborn. Then the Guru whispered, by my luck. And he said, look not outside anymore. The treasure that you seek is what you have always been before. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. I am not the wave alone. I am the endless sea. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. The sun of suns shines here in thee. No chains can bind me, no fear can define me, no darkness can ever hide me. I am that, I am free, I am Aham Brahmasmi. The body ages slowly, the mind keeps changing skies, but the witness sits in silence, watching all that lives and dies. The river thinks it's separate till it reaches the sea. Then suddenly it remembers what it was meant to be. The spark remembers the fire, the drop remembers rain, the soul remembers Brahman and never sleeps again. Who is the one that's breathing? Who is the one that knows? Who is the silent watcher behind the highs and lows? Not the flesh, not the story, not the victory, not the pain. I am the infinite consciousness flowing through every vein. Shivoham, Shivoham. Not born from the earth, not bound by time. Shivoham, Shivoham. The stars are woven inside the mind. The moon is my ornament. The cosmos is my throne. The one I was seeking was never unknown. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. The universe dances in me. The eternal has awakened in me. No coming, no going, no beginning, no end. The seeker and the sought have become the same. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Naham Deho. Naham Mano. Shivoham. Shivoham. Satchidananda Rupoham. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Shivoham. 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 And now you can still continue to be in that space, or you choose to come out. But I want you to remember one thing. When your mind says that this should not stop, when your mind and your heart says that this moment should continue, one thing that you have to realize again is the time will pass, the words will fade, but all that will remain was that consciousness that was there before that word, before that feeling, before that essence, and that continues to be with you still and will be with you always. So take a deep breath. Fill your heart with that happiness and fill your heart with that life. Fill yourself with that vigor and slowly let go what you are not. So can you tell me what is the story running now? सेशन तो खत्म होगा. जैसे समय की निरंतर धारा बहती जाती है. एक दिन बीत जाता है तो दूसरा आ जाता है. समय को ये फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि दिन हुआ या रात. बदलाव तो उन दोनों की है बात. उसी तरीके से जब आप अपने मन के विचारों को, हालातों को, अपने अंदर चलते हुए बातों को देखोगे, यही याद रखना है that all this will appear and disappear. ये सब आएंगे, चले जाएंगे, पर मैं तो वो निशब्द निर्गुण निराकार ब्रह्म हूं. Absolutely pure divinity. And all these are like the passing clouds. But what do we see when we look at the clouds? We think that is the sky. The sky is untouched. The clouds are just floating in it. Similarly, the internal sky of yours. Just clouds come and go. They float around. But the sky is untouched. Are you free? That this triggers a big story within you. But that's what you have been seeking, right? Again, don't worry. You're not running away anywhere. I'm not running away anywhere. The only thing that I said is, are you free? Am I free? So there is a story that you are going to tell the world, and there is a story that you are going to tell yourself. I'm not worried what story you are going to tell to the world. I'm worried about the story that you are going to tell you. And this time, tell the story of liberation. Tell the story of mukti. Tell the story of conscious living. Tell the story of absolute freedom. Tell the story of Brahman. Tell the story of Shiva. Thank you everyone for choosing this. Till I meet you again with another story, some other day, some other time. Will you continue to live free? If the answer is yes, I have done my work well. Thank you. Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi. Har